All right, back at it now as we continue to dig into the most important stories of the day, keeping you the best informed audience anywhere. That's my aim every single day, is make you the best informed audience possible. Joining me now is Jonathan Butcher. He is the acting director of the Center for Education Policy and Will Skillman, senior research fellow at the Education Policy at the Heritage Foundation. Jonathan, thank you for being here.
Great to be with you.
Always good to have you here. Look, fact v. fiction. The Washington Post has been launching these false attacks on Arizona ESAs. Explain to the folks what that means, what an ESA is, and why it's on your radar today.
So with an education savings account, the state deposits a portion of a child's part of the education spending formula into a private account that parents can use to buy education products and services for their children. So they can pay private school tuition, they can buy textbooks, they can find a personal tutor. In Arizona, this has been going on since 2011.
Just so we're clear on this, hold on, because this is an important concept. It's debated in a lot of places. The money follows the child. It doesn't just go to the public school exclusively. If the child wants to go to a charter school or somewhere else for an education, even home schooling, the money would follow the child for resources, books, and computers, and learning essentials, right? That's what we're talking about.
Absolutely. It is a form of education choice. We used to call it school choice, but it's more than just schools because parents can actually customize their child's learning experience, which is a really exciting concept in this day and age where we can, order a ride using an app on our phone or groceries delivered to our house. So with these accounts now in 17 states around the U.S., we have students in those states, all students can apply for an account like this. So Arizona is one, Texas another, Florida, West Virginia. It's a really exciting prospect for families all over the U.S. Now, the Washington Post, though, wrote a piece saying that it is causing public schools to close. And they pointed to a district in Arizona called the Roosevelt District. And they're saying that schools are having to close because all of these students are leaving to use education savings accounts. However, the fact is, that more than 2,000 children left their assigned schools in the Roosevelt District to go to other public schools. Because in Arizona, you have what is known as open enrollment, where you can attend a public school in a different part of the state.
Yeah, schools of choice, they call it here where I am, right? You can pick a different district, and you got to get in a timely fashion, and if you apply, and they've got seats. And they go. Well, the point here is kids are leaving a failing school district by, their parents saying, wait a second, we got to do better here. Sally and Sue and Johnny and Jenny, we got to get doing better things. So they run off to another school. Look, there are more people homeschooling today than there were, say, before COVID. We know that. That's true. And so enrollment in some schools is down. That's true. But that's not what's happening at this school. This school is failing, so they're getting off the sinking ship, right?
Well, and look, there are some 6,800 kids in the Roosevelt School District attending assigned schools, but there are about 5,700 kids attending charter schools in the Roosevelt District, and you have a couple of hundred, about 800, using education savings accounts. Now listen, even more important, there's about 130 kids who live in the Roosevelt District who are using education savings accounts. How is it possible that you have 7,000 kids attending assigned schools in that district and 100 some kids who live in the district using ESAs, and that's going to cause schools to close? I think this is an inaccurate narrative.
Let me ask you something, Jonathan. What do you think the average educational level is for a reporter at the Washington Post? What do you think the resume looks like? Do you think they went to Roosevelt Elementary School in Arizona, any of them? Or a school like it, any of them? Or did they all go to pretty nice schools, prep schools, the kind of schools that Jasmine Crockett went to at $35,000 a year for high school, and then on to some fancy Ivy League school or some other private school like the University of Southern California or whichever? The point being is this. They sit there on high with their beautiful educations and cast stones at parents who want their kids just to have an education. It's just sad, isn't it?
Well, it is. And look, a credit to my colleagues who informed the reporter of these numbers before the story went out. So there was an attempt to clarify the record even before this inaccurate story was written. But then now it's up to us to go back and correct the record after something like this comes out. So it's unfortunate that that material was even released. The good news is, good news is.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say the good news is that there are some 80,000, upwards of 90,000 kids in Arizona using education savings accounts and getting a quality learning experience with one of these ESAs. So the success is happening. In Florida, you've got hundreds of thousands of kids, upwards of 300,000, close to 500,000 kids using some form of education savings account or private school scholarship. So it's happening, and it's exciting to watch.
Yeah. Do you have the reporter's name? You know, I'm going to do a little deep dive after we're off the air here. I'm going to find this reporter. I'm going to find their resume. I'm going to make an assumption here, and we'll see if I'm right, about their background and their education, that they had a privileged education before they made it to the Washington Post. And it's just outrageous because then, as you just pointed out, Jonathan, you tried to inform them of the actual facts before they made a fool of themselves or just misinformed the public. And they did it anyway. The facts didn't matter. The narrative mattered. The agenda mattered, didn't it? More than the truth. I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, I think what's most important now is that Roosevelt is a district that's struggled for a long time in
Right.
Arizona. And people who live in Arizona know this. And so the fact that we have kids who have an option and have an opportunity to use an account to find success in school and in life, that's what ESAs are all about. And a real credit to my colleagues who wrote this up and who exposed the truth and are still doing so.
Yeah, ESAs ought to be celebrated. Schools of choice and charter schools ought to be celebrated. You know, in Detroit, not far from me, the charter schools far outperform the public schools. We can do better, but attacking ESAs is not the way to get there. Jonathan Butcher from the Heritage Foundation, thank you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. You know, we just spend our mornings spewing truth. If you're not into that, well, go somewhere else. But we'll just sit here and tell you the truth about every important story that affects you, your community, your country, parents, kids, all of it. The Steve Gruber Show. I'll be right back.